and welcome to All Things Magical. This is Opal Phoenix again, and today we're going to talk about Spellcraft. I was thinking about, we really needed some videos talking about Spellcraft in kind of a general sense. I think sometimes the basics and the fundamentals are overlooked, and so I want to bring that element to you guys and kind of get you a solid foundation of where you need to go. So a lot of times when you do spell works, it's in the moment, it's an emergency. You need something quick. You need something to change and happen in your life. Okay, so if you have that kind of life, I would caution and kind of question why you need to do spell work. Spell work should enhance your daily life. Spelling work really shouldn't be for emergencies all the time. You can use them for emergencies, but the majority of your spell work should be done on a regular basis and not in a case of emergency. Energies build up over time. And the way spells work are these energies accumulate and they build and they grow and they make you prosper. So whatever you're looking for isn't going to come overnight. Because you do a spell doesn't mean poof, wag, I'm going to wiggle my nose and things are going to be all better. It doesn't work that way. Spells are work. Spells are meant to be cherished and honored, and they take time to process. So a lot of things that we need to talk about is, how do you make your spells work? You've got the books, you got the spells, you got the directions on how to do them, what candles you use, what herbs to use, what oils to use, what time of day. Or maybe you don't do that. Maybe you just hire someone to create your spell and then you do it, or someone does the spell for you in your behalf. These are all things that can work, and whatever works best for you is what you should do. But the key point of Spellcraft is that we need to generate energy for whatever your spell work is. And energy is generated over time. Think of it like rubbing two sticks together. At first, you don't see very much resistance. You don't see very much change. But over time, the sticks are going to do one of two things. They're going to wear out. They're going to get grooves. And they're going to soften and be manipulable. And they're going to bend like energy. Or you rub the sticks, you rub them fast and furious, and they're going to create fire, and they're going to consume the stick, much like energy. So if we think of spells like these sticks that we're rubbing together, we can kind of see how it works and why it's important to take a slow and steady progress through our spell work. Most of the time, what we want our spells to do are things that we've always wanted or have wanted over a long period of time. So in order to generate the positive energies, we need to do this over a long period of time as well. So this is why spells don't work for the lotto. The lotto's instantaneous. It's, the spur of the moment. In order to use energies enough to find out what those lotto tickets are would be an incredible amount. I don't believe that any one person or even a group of people could even come up with that kind of energy to know the exact numbers to win the lotto. So in reality, we need to focus on smaller spells over a longer period of time for a greater outcome. It's kind of like saving for a 401k. You can dump a bunch of money in it, but tomorrow, the next day, it's the same amount of money because it hasn't grown yet. It hasn't acquired acquired its interest. We have to keep contributing to that 401k, and it grows in the principal, and then interest grows with it. So spells kind of work the same way. It's a growth of energy, a growth of prosperity. We have to put in work, and in return, the spell gives us the interest. So if we think of spellcraft in that fashion, I think we'll all have better outcomes of our spells. So if you're supposed to do a spell over long term, I'm sure you're asking, then how do we do that? Do we just repeat the spell over and over again? And that may be the answer. But more ideally is that we need to set goals and create those goals and make those goals our spells. So say I want to have a more comfortable financial life. So say that I want to make $100,000 a year and have maybe, let's say, $20,000 after to just do whatever I want to. So my goal is going to be generate a spell to increase my income to allow me to have $20,000 of spending income and $80,000 of living income. So my goal has to be very specific and very on point. Now that's a lot to ask in a spell. And honestly, if you did one spell asking for that lump sum amount, the chances of it being generated aren't very good. It's a limitation of energy. So what we need to do is break that whole goal down and make it into little smaller chunks of goals. Therefore, smaller spells that we'll craft along the way of life. So say maybe your first goal is, I want that $100,000 job. I want to have $20,000 at the end of the year to do whatever I want. But how do we get there? Well, if you're unemployed, first thing's going to be you need to get a job. You need to get a good job. So then you think, okay, what kind of job do I want? And you start. You start by thinking of a job that has opportunities that would allow you to make that kind of money. So then you say, okay, this is what I want to do. So you make a spell. I want this job. But then you think, wait, I can't get this job without an education. So now your goal is to go get an education. So then you're going to need a spell to find the right school, find the right education, find out what licenses you need, what extra things you need to do to have behind your belt to get this position. So it all accumulates. So spell work isn't necessarily about creating a sudden impact on your life. Spells are created to create energy and momentum to your life. And I think that's what a lot of people don't understand with spellcraft. So once you understand that spellcraft is about creating and generating momentum, I think we can gather those spells and make them more efficient and make them more prosperous to us ourselves. So you go to school, you get your diploma, you get that job, probably not going to be a $100,000 job, probably be less. Then you got to think, okay, now I need the promotion. All right, so we do the promotion. We need to do the bonuses, whatever else that is encapsulated within that to get more money. And during this whole time, we're creating small spells to help us meet these goals. Once we meet these goals, our spells change to meet the next goal. And we're going to do these spells daily, weekly, monthly, however much energy and how much encouragement we need. That's how many times we're going to do the spell. So I don't think most of the time you need to do a spell daily. Probably once a month. Probably a good choice. Probably would recommend a full moon. Increase energy. Always good at the full moon. So we're doing spells every month now. We're increasing our energies. We're making that momentum into our larger goal. Eventually, we will get there. It's not going to happen overnight. But another thing you have to do is think about this is that when we're creating these spells and these personal goals of ours, that we need to set boundaries. We need to make sure that they're realistic. And we also need to set time limits for the things that we personally need to do to continue the energies and create those energies. Now, a lot of you are going to say, well, why even have spells if I've got to do all the work? Well, again, we're going to go back to the theory that this is the 401k. You have to supply with the bulk of the principal to reap the benefits of the interest. The interest is the spell work. So you can put principal in there and you keep growing your principal, which is going to be good at the end of the day. But if you can add spell work to it, that's going to add interest to your principal. And interest can be a little bit or it can be a lot. It depends on how effective the spell was, how much intent we put into it, how much energy we put into it, and how much energy we put into the principle. So at the end of the day, spell work is about increasing our own energies to achieve the things that we need in life. Now I use the job scenario and I use the 401k scenario. You change that for whatever you're doing. So say you want to improve your health. Well, first the thing you got to do is figure out what is your definition of improved health. Is it to run a marathon? Or is it to walk across the street? Or is it to do 100 push-ups? What is your definition of health? Is it simply to lose weight? Is it to be more active? These are all questions that you have to really define. Once you define these, write them down. This is what my health is. This is where I want to be. And be very specific. The more specific you are, the better your spells will work. And then once you find out what your end goal is, then you need to sit down and figure out, how do I realistically get to this goal? If I'm going to run a marathon, then I'm going to need to lose weight. I'm going to need to practice. I'm going to exercise. I'm going to have to get a coach. I'm going to have to go to these little runs, learn the systems, learn how to be in a marathon, do research. All these things you're going to have to do. All these things create spells. So each little individual thing is going to a spell. So say you need to lose 100 pounds. Well, I'm not going to make a spell for losing 100 pounds. I'm going to make a spell to lose 20 pounds in 3 weeks. That's pretty reasonable. So that's going to be my first spell. I'm going to do my spell work. I'm going to lay it out. I'm going to do it. And then I'm going to turn around and I'm going to do my part. I'm going to start watching my weight, going to the doctor, exercising, whatever needs to happen to lose that 20 pounds. And then at the end of that time frame, you should exceed it on your part. And the spell will have pushed you to the next. It will give you motivation. It will give you energy. It will give you the drive that you need to do to accomplish what you need to do in your life. Spells are kind of funny. They don't always offer exactly what you ask for. They give you what you really need. So if you need an element in your life to accomplish a goal, that's what the spell's going to give you. but you're going to have to tell the spell what you want. So this has all to do with creating spells. So I want you to think about that. I want you to think about how energies work and how we use those energies in spell work and how you use energies in spell work. Think about what really works and what doesn't. I can almost guarantee that any spell that you create and then you put time and effort behind it and give the spell the energy it needs to create extra energy for you, is going to be more successful than asking the spell to do all the work. We need to stop thinking that spells are the answer. And we need to go back and remembering that spells are our aids. That's what they're for. They're to help us. They're not the cure. They're not the answer. They're to help us. There's ways to create and pull energies and transform that energy where we need it. But we need to provide the spell with the energy. So I want everyone to think about that in spellcrafting and have a better understanding of what it means to create a spell. And then in our next video, we'll talk about shielding and protecting ourselves while doing spell work. And we'll touch on a few other bases in the future videos about spells. So I hope I gave you some food for thought. And I hope that makes it a little easier to do your spell work. And I appreciate and offer any kind of comments you have. Just put them down below in the comment section. I'll read them. I'll answer them. Try to answer your questions as best as I can. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. And until next time, I hope you have a very magical life. And I hope your spells work a little bit better for you. Until then. Bye.